Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining this special call session of the Delta Club's Board of Directors. Wanted to call us all together and have a real quick discussion. As we're aware, we've gotten some news regarding our Ham Fest in Memphis that was sponsored, called FreeFest. The club that was conducting that is dropping that from the conducting it. And what I wanted to do is I reached out real informally at the membership meeting last week and asked everybody what your thoughts were on whether we wanted to try to carry that forward. So I wanted to take a minute, officially call the board together and kind of walk through what I've discovered, ask the question about what the club would want to do, and set kind of the story of what I've kind of gathered in the weeks since I kind of discovered that information. So with that opening statement, Perry, if I could just have you do a quick roll call just to establish quorum, I sure would appreciate it.
Absolutely. President Joe Plunk.
Present.
Vice President Tyler Henley. Secretary Perry Hayes is here. Treasurer Paul Broom.
Here.
Director of Programs Adam White. Director of Meetings and Special Events Josh Cunningham.
Here.
Director of Publications Jonathan Urschel.
Present.
Director of Training Joe Lowenthal.
Here.
Club Historian John Reiners.
Here.
We do have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Perry. And Adam snuck in right as you called his name.
Yeah,
All right. And I also forgot Dan. Repeater Trustee Dan Fleek.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. Sorry about that, Dan.
Oh, I accidentally dumped the call a minute ago.
No worries. All right, so wanted to so the conversation's really around FreeFest and whether or not we want a Ham Fest in the Memphis market to stop existing. So what I have found out so far, when I found out that FreeFest was going to not be conducted, I immediately reached out to Rick Kanchek, the current president of MARA, and asked him to give me 30 days as the Delta Club in general, give us 30 days to kind of scramble to see if this is something we wanted to pick up, and he agreed. However, in that interim moment, Art had already notified Bartlett on September 29th that they were not going to conduct the FreeFest in April of 2026 on April 10th and April 11th. So they released the date to the Bartlett venue. In the 2 weeks that it took to get back to Bartlett, they had already booked the date. So as far as us getting into the Bartlett venue for 2026, that will not happen. Art did share with me a complete list of vendors, and I'll pull that up in a minute if we're interested. He did send me all of the vendors list, and he did say that some of the vendors have contacted him because it's out in the wild and in the wind. And he did share with me kind of a preliminary budget. I have not had a chance to review the budget at this point, but he did share it with me. So I do have a list of all of their vendors and their contacts and their emails. I do have a preliminary budget of how Art remembered it and put it together. I did ask, I don't know if they will be able to join us, but I did ask Mary Jean and Steve Frazier to join us if possible, just for some historical context and some other perspectives as well. Steve said he might, but he hasn't made it in yet. So that's kind of what I have found so far. I did make some calls to a couple of venues around town. I called the Bartlett venue, obviously, and they're booked. I didn't seek alternate dates in April yet. I wanted to talk that through with us as a board before exploring alternate dates. I did call the Germantown Great Hall just on a whim because they aren't way outside of the budget. I was looking at like a $2,000, $3,000 budget. Great Hall has the ability to potentially be rented for that range. The current date in April is not available. I didn't inquire about alternate dates in April. I did contact the the venue that is now in the former Alchemia Shriners Temple on Shelby Oaks, I contacted them and it was at a recommendation of a friend that's in the event planning business. He pointed me over to them at the Concurrent, I think is what they're called. The venue is appropriate. They have a 60 table trade show kind of format that they can lay out in the venue, plenty of parking. Their price was a little high, but she also said that she would be very willing to work with us on the price. The initial price that she gave me was $7,000. And after I picked myself up out of my chair, I said, that's a budget buster. And she said, I'll work with you on the price. I think I could probably get it down to 3,000 or so. So it's an option. There are other spaces. She did mention Minglewood Hall. I haven't reached out to any other venues at this time. I did try, there was a venue in Cordova that I called, and I can't remember the name right off the top of my head. I don't have that list, but the date wasn't available. April is right in the middle of prom season. So we're going to be fighting that. So we're going to need to try to figure out what we want to do quickly. So that's the last piece of this context that I'll give everyone, and then I'm going to dump it onto the floor and have a round discussion about this. I did ask David, our division director for the Delta division in ARRL. I had talked to him both in Huntsville, and I called him on the phone and talked to him about this, and there is some possibilities that they are capable of and willing to support us with a grant to eliminate or reduce financial risk to the club for venue costs to keep the Hamfest, FreeFest in the Memphis market. So that's what I have. The question that I'm putting to us as a board of directors is, do we want to try to pursue this and pull this off and make this happen? Either this year or next year? Do we want to skip a year and try to make it happen for next year? Everything's kind of on the floor. I do know that I personally am very focused and would do whatever I could do to pull this off to make the Hamfest happen in Memphis, because I think it's important for us as an amateur radio community to have it in our market. So with that, I've done quite a bit of talking. I'm going to hush for a moment and just kind of open the floor. If everybody has comments, just kind of raise your hand and we'll do a quick roundtable and go from there. Floor is open.
Well, I think there's about 11 different positions that need to be filled. That was the biggest part, I think, that MARA is that they just didn't have people to work the Hamfest, and people were getting tired and need to get out. I'm going to, I do not want to have to be involved in it. But I can give some advice on what has happened, because I've been involved in publicity for FreeFest as well as selling tickets for FreeFest. I've been a Hamfest treasurer before for MARA in the 70s or 80s. So, but there's, I was trying to get back to my spreadsheet. Hold on one second. If you let me share, I'll bring it up. The positions that I think need to be filled, and we have to get those done pretty quick if we're going to do it this year.
You should be able to take the share. And while Joe's pulling that up, I would also iterate that and reiterate a quick statement here. While the board would direct this, I would most definitely want us to pull as many people into this as we can and not make this something that the board does. Now, the very first time that we do this, it's going to require a lot of heavy lifting from the board because we've got a short runway. But I also see this as a fantastic opportunity for us to re-engage and reignite some people within our club to take on a different kind of opportunity for the club that the board can then help and oversee with by guidance, funding, directions, but not do it all ourselves. So I would echo Joe's statement of let's not all do it as a board. Let's try to pull other volunteers in to help us. Anyway, thanks, Joe.
Do you see the
Yes, sir.
11 points?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a chairman. You have to have publicity, vendor solicitation, and chair getting the tables sold, door prizes, food, security, parking, seminar coordinator, FCC testing, table setups, sound system. That was just a quick list that I ran through. Well, another one that you got to have a treasurer.
Well, we might, the club treasurer might, we'll have to talk about some of that because some of that could be the club treasurer participates in that.
Well,
But your point is completely 100% valid that the functionality of each of these functions needs to be filled. Totally agree.
but I just wanted to bring that up to those who have not been, actively involved in FreeFest in a ham fest.
And one of the things that just to put it on the table that was an option potentially, for April of 2026, we may have to not necessarily have food. We may just have do something very straightforwardly simple like, hey, coffee and donuts. We may have to pick and choose a couple of things for the first year that are strategic that we not try to focus on. Like from my perspective, I think testing for us is pretty easy. We do testing every month. That should be pretty easy for us to pull our VE team together to do testing. Anyway, I did pull up the budget that Art sent me. I'll share that. Does anyone have anybody questions around what Joe's sharing? All right, let me share the budget that Art sent to us. So is that showing up now?
Yes.
Make that a little larger so it's easier to read. So we have to put the budget that Art shared in the context of the mission that MARA ran their festival was to the door prize ticket sales benefited directly 100% to the Bonner. And that was important to them. So their ticket sales had quite a few ticket sales, over $5,000 in ticket sales. They would add addition to that, so they donated in 2025. Art reported that they donated $5,376. They had concession sales of $1,386, which they were using concession sales to cover the cost of the venue. They had table fees of $5 a table, so they had $300 in table fees, which equates to, if I did that math really quick, that's 60 tables, which is coincidentally the same number of tables that the old Shriners place has. They have 60 tables. That just worked out. Didn't know that for a fact. So their total income was $1,600. They were charged $1,896 for the Bartlett fee, and I'm coming to find out that that was a sweet deal based on what I'm finding. They had to buy paper and tape to cover the tables. So they had $1,900 that they were invested. They made $1,600 on the income. Their gain or loss was $300 on that. And then these were the deposits they recorded for the ticket sales as they came in based on the people that were selling the tickets. So that was the short version of the budget that Art sent over. Best he could remember, he could reconstructed that primarily from memory. I'm not going to pop open the vendor list. I do have it. I'm not going to pop that open just not to broadcast that, but I do have that. Any questions on the budget that Art sent over?
Yeah, I have a question. It seemed like you mentioned at the meeting that some of the things were being donated by Le Bonheur, like the print and some of the other things. Is that the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
So
what?
I talked to Rick Kencheck about that, and the Bonner contact, because Rick was retired from Le Bonner, so his contacts were from there. Le Bonner was donating a fair amount of the food that the concession stand was preparing and selling to make the profit to cover the cost of the venue. That was being donated by Le Bonner. All of the books of not the sheets of tickets that you would purchase for the FreeFest door prizes, those were being printed at Le Bonheur's in-house printing shop as a donation back to the FreeFest team at MARA. So we would need to factor in that we're going to have, if we do concessions, we would either need to find a sponsor, get a donation, write it into the grant, and that we would also have to have the tickets, the door prize tickets, the expense of that, either sponsored, donated, or written into a cost. Did that answer your question, Jonathan?
Yeah, it was a general question of what what out of these numbers was somebody else fronting, that aren't accounted for.
So there a fair amount of the food costs that created the income of concession sales. There's basically a zero food cost with that. So that food cost would have to go back into this budget, and then against the concession sales.
Also, grand prize, a number of MARA officers donated door prizes.
Yes, sir. The door prizes would be, we'll just have to work through that. Maybe some of those would continue to donate, maybe. We haven't gotten far enough along to decide whether it's going to still live on as Free Fest. I'm not opposed to that, or whether we rename it as just a Ham Fest. We've got other things we've got to hurdle before we get to that. Let me take a real quick minute. I'm gonna hand the floor over to David. David, if you want to take just a minute and kind of walk us through what grant opportunities we might have as a club from the ARRL
Oh,
and the
certainly,
Delta Division.
certainly, Joe. We have a program at the foundation. The other hat I wear, besides division director with the league, is foundation president. And a couple of years ago, the board put together a Hamfest convention, actually, grants program, and wanted to preserve a lot of these Hamfests, and FreeFest would be a prime candidate for this. The whole idea behind the motion that started this was to save some of these Hamfests that were going out because of A, the venues were getting too expensive across the country, and B, like has happened with Mara here for 2026, people get tired of doing this, and it's generally the same people that do it over and over, and at a point they get tired. And we're seeing that play out across the country. So the board passed a motion that directed the foundation to put together a grants program, because we have been successfully administering grants for clubs and for other things, just general amateur projects across the country for a number of years, for 50 years. And so we came up with a program. It's the ARRL Division Convention Grant Program. And we've got the guidelines for this. We've got application forms online, and I've got the PDFs right here. I can email them to you guys for putting this together. But there are a number of things that highlight that I'll just go through. One of the things is that this must be a division level convention. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the division convention, but we want to have a division level convention for 3 years at this venue with this group. we can grant you a maximum amount of $25,000. We've got about 100,000 plus in the kitty right now after granting out 3 grants to 3 groups, 3 conventions across 3 divisions. Hudson, Southwest, and Rocky Mountain have been successful with this. So, and it has revitalized all 3 of those and saved them. So that's exactly what we want to do. One of the other things that we require is that we have a minimum attendance of 500. And I think FreeFest, Memphis Hamfest easily meets that. It's one of the better attended ones in the division, centrally located. We will look at the grants. We will look at the applications. We have a form, again, that you fill out. But one of the things that we'll need to do is look at this as a division level convention. And my thoughts are that we do, with the way we rotated around the sections, it won't be Tennessee's turn again until I think 28. But what we do this first one, we can designate it as the Delta Division Emergency Convention Specialty Operating Emergency Preparedness Convention or something. It can be a specialty operating convention as well as a division convention. So we've got that covered. We could do that for 2 years. And then on 28, we can make this the division convention when it's Tennessee's turn again. So that's not a problem. You've got the director's blessing on this if we decide to go through with it. Not a problem. One thing we will have to have are 2, 3 or so years previous financials like you've presented here tonight for the committee to consider. And then let's see, the event must do that. We must also be looking at what we plan to do for the next year, for this year, for the upcoming event. And that's get a good breakdown. Joe's got to start there on what we're going to have, but we need to have some dollars and cents. How much is a venue going to cost us? Get an estimate for them. How much is the sound system going to cost? Get an estimate for that. How much do you project you're going to be out for food, drinks, door prizes, etc., security, anything? Put together a pretty good little financial package to go in with that submittal. We're doing this in advance, so that's good. We're here in October, we're getting ahead of it. That's even better. One thing we must do with this too is we got to provide a forum track with forums and other things that are going on, which we do at FreeFest anyway, so that's not a problem. We need to have an ARRL forum, which we always do. We've got to provide an ARRL table, which always happens. So there's nothing really out of the ordinary there. One thing we can do with this being a division level convention is we can get people from headquarters to come and talk about it, about specific topics. We could get Josh Johnston, for example, our director of emergency management at headquarters, to either do a Zoom presentation or come on down. He'd probably come on down because his family's in Arkansas, and he'd love to visit home. So that's not a big deal. Let's put this together. If we decide to do it, get me the package of what you're doing. Ask me questions. We'll get this together. I, as the division director, will review this application and ensure that everything is in there, is what we need. We've got a checklist. We'll look at it, and then I'll present it to myself, and then David Minster, who is in on this, who is also my vice president of this, and we'll take it to the committee. Committee will review it. They may come back and say, hey, we like what we're seeing here, but we want X, Y, and Z. Can you further expand on these particular topics, which that may happen. But once this has been vetted, once this has been gone through, the grants committee will recommend that this be approved. And then we'll go through the approval process, bringing it up in front of the full foundation board, which I will bring it forward as the president, and the foundation will vote on it, and then we'll give you the money. And that's how it works.
Is the money over multiple years or just 1 year?
Well, we can do it over 3 years, Joe, and you just have to come back and reapply. We do it for 26. We do an initial grant for, let's just throw a number out there, $8,000. That's great. Well, we come back the next year for 27. Well, we don't quite need that much. We need a $5,000 grant. That's fine. We go through the application process again. It'll be easier because we've kind of figured out what we're doing, where things are falling out. And then we look at it, review it, and give you the money. And then it goes on for another 3rd year, which will be the division convention. We'll look at it, and the amounts can vary. I mean, we may want more money, and we can grant it to you. So that's not a problem. We come back, and we can do up to 3 years with it. And that's the whole point, is to do this for 3 years, get the Hamfest, get the convention back on its feet, get it reestablished, and get it working, and save it, because Memphis needs a Hamfest. It's too big a city not to have it. There's too large an amateur population in this area not to have it. And I will do everything I can to help you make this happen.
Thank you, David.
If you
Thank you,
got
David.
questions, just let me know and we can answer, fill in the gaps. But I'm really willing to work with you guys to make this happen if you decide to do it. And I think it's worth saving.
All right, I'll still keep the floor open for, we're approaching the top of the hour, and I promised that we were going to keep this short. I've got one other additional point of business that I need to cover for Paul real quick after we get through with this piece. So I'm going to open the floor back up. Just run around I'll just run around the Brady Bunch real quick and just ask everybody their thoughts and comments. Jonathan happens to be at the top, so I'll start with Jonathan and we'll just run around the room. Sorry, you were the top of the list.
Nah, that's okay. That's okay. Initially I felt pretty good about taking this on. The more I've thought about it, I'm sort of landing on the let's give it a shot for a year and see how it turns out, because it obviously is going to be a significant amount of investment in time and money. Of course, David's comments maybe help a bit with the money, provided we get approval and all that. Some of that money anyway. But it feels like, to make it, I don't know. In my mind, it felt like to make this work, it was gonna have to not be a FreeFest, and there are some other things that we're gonna have to overcome. So I'm interested to hear what everybody else has to say. I agree. It feels like we should try to keep it here. It's just it seems like a lot to do in a short amount of time, given that we basically kind of have to start over, except for, I guess, the vendor list.
Good observations and comments. Don't disagree with any of that. I think that just to add on to that, and then we'll move to Paul, give you a minute to think about that, Paul. I think that's totally fair. I think we're going to have to potentially re-image a little bit of this. Everything's open and fair game. I'm really trying to just get a directionality from our board. We are going to have to roll up our sleeves and engage our membership and say, we need our membership's help on this. Because if we can spread these tasks out, because there's a lot of them, if we can spread them out to 30 or 40 people and every little person does one individual little task, it makes it a lot easier for us all to carry. So I totally understand that and agree with you, Jonathan. All right, Paul.
Well, I guess just to kind of follow on what you just said, that would be my biggest concern. Personally, I don't need any extra jobs. I'm willing to help, don't get me wrong, but I don't need another full-time job. And so
you've got enough as the treasurer. I'm going to put it on the record now. We would exempt you. You've got enough. And I'm very thankful for you being with us.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't mind acting as the treasurer for this either, but I wouldn't want to be in charge of food also, or that kind of stuff. And I really think it's important to get some of the membership in on this so that it doesn't fall to all of us. Keeping it in the area, I'm
Absolutely.
all for, but my only concern is time.
Noted. All right, John, you're the next one on the list. We'll move over to you.
Yeah, are we open to pulling in possibly some folks from the Neshoba Club that could also possibly help out? I do like the emergency communications theme, obviously, so I'm sure I'll be busy. But anyway, yeah, I think we've got to at least try this once and try to pull
I
it
did
off.
thank you for mentioning the show because I did reach out to Fred and he and his club members are not opposed to helping in any way they could. I did ask him that question. I forgot to mention that, so thanks for mentioning them. Joe, you're next.
I'm going to abstain.
That's fair. I mean, you gave us good direction on the earlier. I appreciate that, and your wisdom and insight is very much appreciated. I know you have been actively involved in this. We're not asking you to do it, but we do appreciate your advice.
All right.
David, I'm going to pass you over and move down to Perry.
I agree with everyone else. It is a good thing to have, and I hate to see it leave town. I just wanted to be honest. The spring is a real busy time for me. My son plays intercollegiate sports. He's a senior. We basically go to all of his matches during the springtime. So I would be willing to help, but I would kind of want everybody to know that that's a time where I'm going to be real busy. And I haven't even been able to go to FreeFest for the last few years because of that schedule. So I just wanted to throw that out there and be honest about it.
Perry, I totally understand that and appreciate that. And that just, again, emphasizes the point that I'm very adamant about, that it is not us on this call that need to make this happen. It's us on this call that need to empower a group of others to make this happen. And we're there to help them, to facilitate them, to make calls, to lend our club name, to sign all the documents, to fund it. But we need help from the membership to make this happen. We feel it's important, but I just want to emphasize and agree with you totally that this is not something that we as a board need to do ourselves. This is something that we need to use as a catalyst to re-engage and reinvigorate a group of our members that will find this a passion for them to pursue. We'll head over to Adam.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'll reiterate what David said. This is Memphis is too big of a ham community, and also we're in the center of the country, so I feel like we have a lot of potential to maybe not 2026 since we're just getting on our feet, but turn it into something much larger than FreeFest was.
I agree with that totally. All right, Tyler, you're next, but Jonathan's raised his hand real quick, so I'm going to ask see what his hand raised is about, and then we'll be back down to Tyler. Go ahead, Jonathan.
It was just along the lines of the comments you made just a moment ago about the membership. So it feels very much like we need to put this to some sort of a vote at the next meeting so that we have an understanding of what the membership feels like their participation might be, right? I mean, if we're saying that we don't want all of us to be the ones doing it, we want the membership to do it, then we've got to hear from them that we're thinking, maybe it's not a yes or no vote, but it's a kind of like the bus trip. Hey, who's going to participate if we need you to participate, right?
Fair, totally fair. And part of what I was trying to get accomplished today is just to the runway is going to be short enough as it is. If we are going to pursue this as a club and as a board, we need to go, okay, let's start getting the wheels rolling, and then we'll bring the membership on board. And certainly, we definitely need to bring the membership on board and ask them what their involvement on this is before we accept or commit to the grants or any other funding from that perspective. But the membership meeting is a couple of weeks away. And in that couple of weeks away, we need to be able to do things like potentially find a venue that has a date that secures the date that we need or want. And we just need a little bit of flexibility to do those kinds of things, because finding a venue with the date where FreeFest was is going to be a challenge. So we're going to have to keep making a bunch of phone calls so that we can at least come to the membership and say, okay, we found a venue, found a date, or not only is it going to be hard because we got to start from scratch, it's going to be harder because now we've got a venue date, a venue change, a date change, and we potentially lose some of the vendors because of those things. So anyway, that's kind of the multifaceted puzzle of that conversation. All right, Tyler, you're up.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. First off, David, thanks for being here with us and letting us know about that. That I didn't know about that grant, so that's nice to know. But I'll beat the dead horse. Memphis is too big to not have one. This year is going to be kind of odd, but after that, it'll obviously grow on itself. And I'll also be the one that the word free, I hate to be that guy, but the free is probably done in today's day and age. But I agree. We need to do it, or we need to at least help somebody do it. And good to hear that Neshoba was willing to help out as well. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, Tyler, thank you. Josh, you're up.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think we need to definitely keep it going, and I know I work with Doug Cave. I don't know which club he's president of. I think I know it's one in Olive Branch, but I know he has mentioned a couple of times to me in the past week that he does not want to see it go away. He wants to keep it going. I have not mentioned to him about this, that we have planned on it yet, that we're going to try to continue going. Well, quite frankly, I haven't even seen him in the past few days. So, but I can talk to him. I know he might have some ideas for us. And the same with everybody else has mentioned that, Memphis is, there's so many hams in this part of town, and it's not just Memphis. It's, the hams in Arkansas and Mississippi that all come to this event. So I haven't been able to come to it myself. For some reason, I've always had something going on that weekend where I wasn't able to attend it. So I haven't been able to see it, from, being into the amateur radio world. But yeah, I agree. I think we need to keep it going. I know there's going to be some hurdles we'll have to jump through to make it work, but I think all in all, it'll definitely be for the better.
Okay. All right, Dan, you're up.
Well, it sounds like from David, we may have some funding that may soften the blow of the rental, and that'll help a lot. The second thing, it's what I saw happen to the Dixie Fest, Memphis's earlier Ham Fest. When you start changing dates, you lose your vendors. So if we can stay to the same weekend, it's important, or otherwise we may lose our vendors. But I think this is all worthwhile to do. An MCOM is type theme would be pretty good. Also, I think, kind of like you said, Neshoba will probably help. Olive Branch may get some participation there, and even Tipton County, I think we could talk to those guys and get some input or help. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. I put on a large
right.
event like this, well, Saturday's event, and it takes a lot of people. Our pancake breakfast running about 50 volunteers the day of, and many hands make light work.
Agreed.
Joe,
All right. So yes, sir.
have you looked at Agri Center?
I have not looked at the Agri Center. That would be also a viable venue. I have not looked at the Agri Center yet. I do need to do that.
The rodeo rink, we had a ham fest there before and the dust was horrible. So I don't think you really want to go in the.
It would have to definitely be over in the A, B, C, and D wings over there.
Yeah.
The big plus sign basically. And
They
that could
had
be
a
a
ham
good vent
fest
space.
there years ago, and it was right when it was brand new, and people drove through it setting up, and they were asked not to come back again.
Gotcha. So, who'd we lose? Lost Dan. He'll come back in a minute. All right. So just to kind of be very respectful of everybody's time, because you've given me 45 minutes of time that you didn't plan on giving to the club. So I'm going to try to be very respectful of that. And I've got a topic that I've got to get to Paul's right quick. So what I need, or what I would think that we'd want to do as a club, we need to have an actionable item that comes from this of a direction of what we want to do. I see a couple of things. A couple of people have mentioned talking to the membership about this and making sure that we want to have the membership engaged in this. I also kind of anticipate that we probably want to give ourselves a little bit of flexibility as a board, that if we get into this in 6 weeks from now and go, okay, it's just not going to happen, and we have to say 2026 is going to just have to be a wash, we have the flexibility of doing that. So what I see as a board that we kind of need to do, and I would entertain some motions along, or a motion along this line, is we need to agree as a board and as a club that we want to pick this up and continue on a ham fest in the Memphis market. And we need to try to find a venue with the current dates as quickly as we can. And then we bring it to the membership to discuss about how we're going to get the membership involved to help us run the ham fest. Did I leave any concern out from those kind of 3 points?
Make a motion that we consider continuing the current FreeFest in 2026.
All right, motion on the floor to pick up and continue FreeFest or Hamfest in the Memphis market, made by Jonathan, seconded by
I'll second it.
Tyler. All right. All in favor of that motion, please let me know by saying aye and raising their hand. Aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Did you get that, Perry? There was one abstention.
Yes, sir.
All right. So thank you, board. What I'm going to take away from that is we're going to find, now I'm going to turn the floor for just a second back to David. David, what's our timeline for the grant? What are we looking at from a timing perspective?
Well, Joe, if you can get this to me, we're looking at April. If you can get this to me by January, December would be nice. That would be fine. You get it to me by December, January. December would be a little better because we'd be going into the board meeting. We're going to start getting busy about that time. It could wait till January after the ARRL board meeting, but if you guys can get this to me late November, early December, we can start looking at it.
Okay.
You could get it to me, when the club meets and starts formulating things, get it to me Let's look at this. We're rolling into November. How long do you think you can get a price list estimate on some of this?
The board, our official board meetings are the first Tuesdays, membership meetings are the second Tuesday of the month. November happens to be a good month where I'm anticipating that we're going to have a strong membership attendance for that meeting. So this will be good. To be transparent, it probably needs to be that first week of December, second week of December, just to be, just to go ahead, Tyler.
Hey, Joe, just to confirm, reminding everybody that the second Tuesday of November is Veterans Day.
Correct.
Ooh.
And the Monday before that's Marine Corps birthday.
Oh, bless them.
Hoorah.
Well, I'll get you some crayon.
Okay. Hopefully that doesn't impact our membership attendance, but we'll see. That is a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer David's point, I think it's probably going to need to be probably the second week of December probably is the best realistic kind of to get you a preliminary run at this, because that'll have given us roughly 6 weeks to kind of start gathering all of this information and getting a good run at it.
Yeah, and what will happen is that'll give me a chance to kind of go through it, sit down with Minster and Diane, and we can look at Diane's our CFO, and Rick Niswander, our treasurer, and kind of look at it and see what we need to tweak and what we think needs to be improved, and then I can hand it back for any corrections that need to be taken care of, adjustments, etc. And then we can go forward with it after the board meeting. We can take it to the foundation, let the foundation committee recommend it to the board. I can call the meeting and we can get that taken care of pretty quick. February, okay. It'll be a done deal. February into March.
So we should be able to know by the end of February, 1st of March, if we've got the grant and that our risk has been minimized.
Correct.
Okay. Fair enough. Seems reasonable. Can you have any questions on that from anyone? Go ahead, Joe. You're muted. Hey, Joe. Were you talking to
David,
us?
when's QS? Isn't it December? Has to be submitted for an April QST.
Yeah, we'll need it. No, we'll need it. We got a 3-month run on it. So if we get it in by January, it'll make QST. No problem.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Everyone, I appreciate it. We're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to make Memphis have a great ham fest, whatever the name turns out to be. Appreciate everybody be willing to roll up their sleeves. Again, I'm going to look at all of us. This is not so. I don't want this to be, and I'll say this again. I've said it multiple times. I don't want this to be something that we as the board do. Josh, I want you to reach out to Matt. Tyler, I want you to reach out to Clement. Adam, I want you to reach out to someone else and drag some members into this and help them help us engage another level of our membership with this. All right, moving on from that addressed that. We're going to pursue this. I'll keep working on venues. If anybody wants to help me call venues, let me know, reach out to me. I need to have a real 5-minute discussion with Paul about the equipment insurance for the club. Paul, you found that out, and we've got our insurance. I believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, our equipment insurance renewal is in the budgeted amount for the club.
Yes, I believe it is. I didn't verify that, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. The challenge to that may be that we've got to add a couple of pieces of new equipment to that list, which may make the insurance go up, hopefully within the tolerance of the budget. But I'll let you have the floor for just a minute to kind of walk through that and timing.
Yeah, so I just got access to the 2 insurance policies for the club. One is for the club liability, the other is for the equipment. and the equipment is up for renewal on November 12th, I believe. And so what I need to do is I have a list of the equipment that was included in the insurance policy last year, but it needs to be updated to include this new equipment that Joe mentioned earlier, the DMR repeater and several other pieces that I don't really know much about. So what I need is some help to update this list so that I can get it into the insurance policy. The way the insurance policy works is we put in an estimated value, and then the rate is some percentage of that. And I can't tell you right now what that is. But last year's premium was $200 and something
Okay.
for
And
$17,000 worth of equipment.
I just found them, Paul. I have pictures of the serial numbers, the model of the new repeater and the new Crescend amp. I will forward those to you momentarily so that you can put make and model and serial numbers on the policy and look up current pricing for those and add that to the policy and execute the renewal.
Okay. Anything else beyond those that we need to add?
The new Pi controllers that we added to the repeaters were like $50. So I don't know that we necessarily want to or need to add them to the insurance policy per se. But I do know that we want to add the $3,000 DMR repeater that we spent and the Crescend amp that we got. It's like $2,000 that we spent on the amp. I do know that we want to put those on and I'm working from memory, so those numbers may be a little off. I do know that
Okay.
we want to get those on the insurance policy.
Okay.
Want to start insuring our antennas?
That's a lost cause.
Just the ones at North.
Yeah, just the ones at North.
Yeah.
Those don't seem to have a high survival rate for some reason. Real quick, just if when is that renewal?
It's November 12th. So I mean, I've got a little bit of time.
Do you want us to approve that at the November board meeting, or would you like to have approval for that now?
We could probably wait and do it at the November board is what date?
That would be 2 weeks from now, November 4th.
That should give me enough time. I'm not sure. It seems like he paid with e-check last year, so I'm not sure how that'll work with the dual signature thing. Maybe I just pay it and then get reimbursed, but that shouldn't be a problem if we can do it on the 4th.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm also okay asking for the board to approve you doing that tonight if you'd feel more comfortable, if you think you need the time.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how much to ask for right now since.
Okay, fair enough. We'll see that on the 4th then. All right, any questions on that equipment renewal real quick, and then I'm going to give everybody somebody can adjourn us, and then we'll get out of here. All right, Paul, thank you for that. I see no further questions on that. I would certainly entertain a motion to adjourn this special called meeting to discuss Hamfest in Memphis.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Adam made the motion, seconded by I think that was Paul. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate your time, and we'll circle back around on this and see everybody on the next one.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David.
Not a problem, guys.
Thank
Not a
you,
problem.
David.